Hey guys, hope everyone is doing okay today. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about gatekeeping, and it's going to be with relation to the Dead or Alive community. Now the first thing that I want to say before this video gets started, obviously the most important thing is rest in peace to Itagaki. He was a legend in the game. No matter what people might think about his outlook on how video games are made or how he made his own games, I think that the man deserves, all the respect in the world, and obviously Dead or Alive is a legendary franchise. The second thing I want to say, just before we get started, is that on the topic of gatekeeping, the sentiments that the Dead or Alive players are sharing on Twitter, I agree with them. I don't agree with the execution, but I agree with the sentiments. The reason I say that is we are currently experiencing Tekken in a whole new way, and it's not something that the more seasoned or older players really like. And a lot of them blame that on gatekeeping. We didn't gatekeep hard enough, we didn't protect Tekken hard enough, and now it's turned into this thing that is almost unrecognizable. And obviously it's split the community because now you have players that love what Tekken was, and you have players that love what Tekken is. And the Dead or Alive community feels like people got their hands on their game and essentially bastardized it. I read some comments that Dead or Alive 5 and Dead or Alive 6 were not loved by like the Dead or Alive community at large. I didn't know that about 5. It might just be some people on Twitter. I thought that 5 was loved by everybody, but I am a newbie in the DOA world, so I'm not sure. I know that DOA 6 is basically universally hated by everyone. I do agree that it's very important to make people understand what makes your game so special, what makes your game so unique. And although I am quite new in terms of like getting into DOA properly, like learning the mechanics properly and understanding the game and all of that, I've always known about DOA, and I've always known the community to be very welcoming. Now, I will say that this is just Twitter, and on Twitter you do often have the craziest people voicing their opinions, or sometimes you don't necessarily have the craziest person, but they act crazy on this app. I don't know what it is. I feel like having discourse with people on this app is extremely difficult. But away from them saying nasty things to people, just before the video gets started, I do agree with them. It is very important to protect what makes your game special. It doesn't matter if I don't like it, and it doesn't matter if you don't like it, but if the game is a certain way and that's what people loved about it, I'm on their side when it comes to protect the game from people that don't understand it. That being said, there's multiple ways to go about protecting a game, and I feel like the recent discourse on Twitter isn't doing DOA any favors, and I'll explain why in just a moment. I also just want to say that this is just my opinion. I am of no importance in the Dead or Alive community. I appreciate, a lot of the figureheads that have given me the chance to sit amongst them and have conversation. I have spoken obviously of Tom Brady, Perfect Legend, Swoozy, and a bunch of other players. I've had Emery Reigns on here to talk, and I appreciate the time that they've given me. So I'm nobody important in the Dead or Alive scene, but I do like it, and so I want to give my thoughts. So it starts here with Maximilian. This is where I started seeing the sort of anger towards people in the FGC from the DOA community. And it says, learning more about the actual relationship, not the fabricated media focused one, between Harada and Itagaki was eye-opening when it was revealed earlier this year. Legit bummed out. His/Team Ninja games defined the first Xbox generation and beyond. Rest in peace. Now when I read that, and I read that a couple of days ago, I thought to myself, it's not really a big deal. That seems like a nice thing to say. I know that we all believed that Harada and Itagaki were at each other's necks for a long time, even if it was somewhat playful. We didn't know that they were like actually pretty close friends. At least I didn't know. And it came out a couple of years ago, or earlier this year or something like that they were actually pretty close, and that he was essentially doing the wrestling thing, keeping kayfabe alive, so that there's a rivalry between Tekken and DOA, which I think is actually pretty cool. We try to do the same thing over here on the channel with beef sets. And then I went to check the engagement on it, and boy, oh boy, were people pissed. Now, I'm not saying that this is every single person in the DOA community. I'm just saying that I saw it enough from people that I thought it was worthwhile speaking about, and how this is not a good way to gatekeep a game that is already a niche. Starts off here saying, like you actually care, F off you tourist. People like you are exactly the reason DOA is in the position it is now. And I read that and I was like, people like you, what the hell did Max do? DOA 6 to make their characters look awesome instead of focusing on jiggly bits. God bless the ring. Never been a big fan of the DOA series, but DOA 5 is looking really cool. Shout outs to devs for trying new things with fighting games. So we'll focus on this one first. I am against Max when he says that there shouldn't be jiggly bits. And I know that might sound like a goonery thing to say, but at the end of the day, that was Itagaki's vision. He was interviewed multiple times saying that he believes that sex sells, he doesn't like putting unattractive characters in his games, specifically women, and that he believes that the games should be produced that way, and that is part of their charm and part of their appeal. Again,
I'm creating entertainment rather than just a video game. So in terms of entertainment, it's quite natural for me to create beautiful women. It makes sense rather than bringing ugly women into the game. It's very simple. Naturally.
No violence.
Violence. Entertainment. Beauty. Sex. Gambling. Gambling means that if people really like playing a game, then they'll pay whatever it costs. And that's all.
DOA has multiple areas that you can enjoy. The battle system in DOA is one of the best battle systems that I've ever seen. It forces so much interaction and so much, breaking patterns and not being too easy to read, and it does feel like you're watching an actual martial arts film play out. And the way the cinematics are done during the gameplay, when you're throwing people through walls, or in some of them I've even seen people getting knocked downstairs or carried downstairs, pushed into cars and they're exploding, and the action is just rolling. Itagaki managed to create a game where there is plenty of interaction and also plenty of cinematic pieces, which is really hard to do in my opinion, and I think he did a fantastic job. So I think reading that, I understand the anger on some level, but actually in Max's case I do understand it quite a bit, because Max is our biggest creator in the space. If Max says something, there is a chance that developers will listen to him, so I completely understand the sentiments there. What I don't agree with is how they went about saying it, because at the end of the day, right, I'm not saying that this is true of Maximilian, it's probably not, but if he was the kind of guy that you made remarks at and he got pissed off and used his power to influence the way a game is created, this would be an easy way to make him do it. He might feel slighted by people saying this stuff to him, obviously we're going to go through more posts, and he might just try to use his influence to push DOA 7 in a certain direction. Now I'm not saying that that's what he's going to do, obviously, I'm just saying hypothetically, you can't really gatekeep somebody like Maximilian. It's actually not possible. You can scream to the rafters all you want. There's no amount of screaming or saying you're not welcome here that anybody in the DOA scene, even the big creators, can do. He has too much power and too much influence in the fighting game scene, and I'm not saying that in like a dictatorial way. I'm saying that he's very well respected and people will listen to him. Instead, because Max is wrong here, and he's basically not acknowledging a part of DOA's identity, that's what it is, I feel like a better approach here would be to explain to him why Itagaki wanted the games this way, what made them so special, why you are wrong. Telling the biggest creator in our space to F off is a surefire way for things to go sideways, and not with him specifically, but maybe with people in his space or people that follow him, his millions of fans around the world. And so this got quote retweeted quite a bit. People calling him out on this. There is one thing actually that I do want to address really quickly. This word fan, the word fan is not used correctly. I don't think you need to be a fan of something to appreciate it and to respect it and to understand why it is the way it is. I think Max saying that he's not a fan of DOA doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't like it. Again, the word is misused all the time. I could say that I like My Hero Academia, for example, but I'm not a fan of it. I don't think, when people were reading this, they were making out like he didn't like it and now all of a sudden he likes it. I don't think that's what he meant. I think he's using the word fan correctly here. Maybe he's not a fan the same way he is of Final Fantasy VII, but he likes the series, let's say. Very hypocrite, seeing you and others now speaking positively about the franchise only after Itagaki's passing, when you bitches heavily criticized the games heavily and unfairly. Now suddenly everyone who hated it loves it. F off, people pleaser. Now I've gotten that one a few times. I didn't take offense to it because I don't expect everyone to come to my YouTube channel and to see what we're doing over there. But like I said, I've had Master on the podcast, I've had Emery Reigns, I've had plenty of DOA players, we've done DOA streams, and admittedly I am new to it, but I think I'm like maybe a year and a half new to it now, so long before any of this unfortunate news came to pass of Itagaki. I think that DOA fans are voicing their opinions in the wrong way here. I don't think you're helping the franchise in any way, shape or form. I really do feel like you should open the doors to people and make people see why DOA is one of the best fighting games ever made, and I truly believe that. I believe that DOA 5, for example, in terms of like its battle mechanics, I believe it's a better fighting game then Tekken 8. Going online is a little bit difficult because there's not that many people playing online. I've been online a couple of times. You get some matches here or there. It's a little worse than Rebirth of Souls. You know, I play that and hard enough getting games on there. So it's you sink a bit of time into it, so you can't enjoy it as much as you want. And DOA 6, I've been told by everybody in the DOA community, don't even bother with that game. Even Itagaki didn't like it apparently, so I was like, fair enough, I'm not even gonna waste time. You never liked DOA considering you were praising DOA 6 and compared the game to Hooters. I've seen a lot of people like taking issue with that, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, because Hooters does put big-breasted women at the forefront. That's one of their selling points. I don't know if it's a massive insult to compare it to something else that uses sex to sell. Now again, obviously that's not the only thing that you use in Hooters to sell the products, right? I suppose whatever else they're selling there, like the food, has got to be good, just like DOA has got an amazing battle system. But I don't know if that's an insult. But the anger continued. Now there was a post that was put up by High Buff Gigas, and it's showing off DOA 4 with one of the most insane fighting game stages that you'll probably ever see in your life. I have never seen anything like this in my life. It's really cool. Like, I mean, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I don't know how viable it would be in a tournament, but I don't think you should put tournament needs ahead of the game being fun to play. And you know, I remember playing on this stage on the few times that I played DOA 4, because most of my time back in the day was spent playing, I think it was DOA 3 when I managed to go to my friend's house and play it, or go to the arcades, wherever it was that I played it, I can't even remember now. And more recently DOA 5. So this looks incredible. So Sonic Fox tweets out here saying, you guys just had to be their legit peak. Now for those of you that don't know, Sonic Fox was a DOA player. A Perfect Legend has told me this, multiple other people have told me this, that Sonic Fox had a great interest in the game. However you feel about Sonic Fox aside, it doesn't really matter. What matters is, did he play it? If he's saying you had to be there, then he must have played it. But it seems like some people, in the midst of this anger surrounding DOA right now, did not bother to do their research on Sonic Fox and to understand his tenure with the game. You've got this post here that says, now it turns out that everyone likes DOA, but they spent the last 10 years mocking and belittling the franchise. The most pathetic thing is that the reasons they criticize it are the same ones they applaud in big franchises like Street Fighter or Tekken: hypocrisy. Now I agree with him there. Street Fighter is getting applauded for its bikini costumes. To a lesser extent Tekken, I wouldn't say they're getting applauded right now, but I think some people appreciate them. And people have been calling for Mortal Kombat to return to its more scantily clad attires for the women. They have been doing that. There's been a call for that to happen for some time. And DOA has been getting shot on for that. Problem is here is that you guys are acting like a shotgun right now, because Sonic Fox was not the one to direct this at. Sonic Fox was playing DOA. He was actually playing the game. And this is where my problem with this occurs, is that people are just firing on all cylinders now for anyone that they don't recognize. You've got this post here from this person saying, I get it, but shut the F up now. You never showed any interest in DOA before, so just stop pretending you did. And that post got a lot of traction, and there's quite a few other posts like that towards other creators. And I don't feel like it helps DOA at all. And I've had people on the podcast from the DOA scene, and I've spoken to people that work over at Team Ninja, namely Master. Obviously we all want DOA to come back, and we want DOA to be, or what it should have been, what DOA 6 should have been, which is, you know, like this. You know, this is incredible, with a rich and intricate battle system, one of the best in any fighting game by far, one of the most, captures the essence of like a martial arts film so perfectly well, and it just looks beautiful. It's always been ahead of its time. And so when DOA 7 comes out, if it ever does come out, we want it to return to what made it so great. You know, DOA 4, or I don't know, people that apparently don't like DOA 5, but at the very least I love the features in DOA 5. I don't feel like attacking people constantly for it is the way to go. Even here, oh, so now we know it's in DOA as a fighting game. I don't feel like this anger has come out of nowhere. I feel like they've probably been told that they ain't shit for a long time. And now that Itagaki has passed, you know, and that happens, you know, when something significant happens, where someone passes away, now all of a sudden everybody wants to like jump on the bandwagon. But I just don't feel like it really helps anything to behave like this. And I understand, because, you know, I was reading Emery Reigns' post and I could see how deeply it affected him, and I can relate to that. Obviously Akira Toriyama is not my dad, he's not a part of my family, but it hurt when I heard that he had passed away. So I completely understand not being connected to somebody like that, but still feeling connected. And I understand why they feel so hard done. But you're not going to be making any progress with DOA doing this. You're just going to, if anything, what's going to happen is, if you keep on talking like this and Team Ninja does pay attention to the discourse online, and let's say that there's big figureheads like Maximilian, and they push for a more DOA 6 style or DOA 7 rather than listening to you guys, who I think they should be listening to, then we ain't going to get anywhere. We're just going to have another DOA 6 situation. I think everybody needs to take this time to open their arms and be like, listen, this is an amazing game. This is why you were wrong. This is why we were right. Let's sit around, let's play the game. I'm reading a lot of comments about people only showing love for Dead or Alive now because Itagaki-san passed away. I think that's a crooked way to look at it. If people didn't care, they wouldn't care either way. This only shows that the series is loved. It just needs a spotlight. Now, when I go onto YouTube and I look up DOA videos, the viewership is insanely high on them. So I do believe that people love this franchise. I think within the fighting game community, there might be some issues. I mean, I'm in the Tekken community. I understand how elitism works. I can completely sympathize with that side of it. 100%. I do feel like people love this series and I would love for it to come back. This is another response to Maximilian, F off and rot you sad old man. And even this post here, I saw them, they posted this and I was confused because all Max is doing in this clip is messing around with his friends. They're imitating Japanese people and they are like talking about waifu pillows and that, and people were getting onto him about this. And I was thinking to myself, these are just dudes messing about in their bedroom. Like, they're just having a laugh. It's not that deep, guys. It's not that serious. There's an interaction here between Maelstrom and Maximilian where they say, excuse me, didn't you compare DOA to Hooters? Max says, I've been to Hooters and played Dead or Alive. What's your point? Maelstrom says, just being honest, Max, I found your past comments about DOA to be not so favorable toward it and often presented in a way that makes it easy to dismiss or even make fun of it. Granted, the comment I referenced above is an older one and total fairness here, bringing it up here was more than a bit in bad taste. Yeah, I love it when people do that. They say stuff that they don't really mean because they think that somebody like Max, who is obviously a massive creator, is not going to see it. Say it with your chest or don't say it at all. And for all I know, your perspective changed a lot since making that comment. I just find it interesting to see you being more reverent towards Itagaki given the comments you've made about DOA. That's all. Whether that's relevant or not to the conversation, that's where my comment came from. I'll crack jokes and make fun of games, even the ones I'm more involved in and love, but it doesn't take away that the craftsmanship of early Xbox generation Team Ninja titles wasn't effing legendary. I'm consistent with this statement and not just piggybacking here. Please watch all of this video from 9 months ago to understand my thoughts on his and Harada's rivalry, contributions to the genre, so you can have an updated understanding of what I actually feel. And it says, fair enough, no hate from me, keep doing what you're doing. And that's really important because oftentimes people will jump on this app and they really think that they know what they're talking about. Now, I saw that video from a long time ago that Max made regarding Itagaki and Harada, and I watch Max's videos, so I understand what his sentiments are towards the game. I understand the difference between the joke, and I understand that he just messes around with his friends sometimes and they make comments about things, but people on this app love to take stuff out of context. He's been getting rushed down by this account, Dead or Alive 3, who has just been going at him. And whilst I will say that I am very, very happy that I was welcomed with open arms to the Dead or Alive community, the other thing that needs to be said that is true for all communities is you can't actually stop people from coming in. The gates are imaginary. There is no way to stop people from coming in, but there is a way to swerve the conversation in a way where people are like, oh, do you know what, he has a point. Now, in terms of the presentation of Dead or Alive and what you guys are saying with regards to the game, you're right. Dead or Alive should be preserved and it should be put across to us the way Itagaki wanted it to be. If Dead or Alive 7 comes out, I expect them to go balls to the wall and put as much of the Itagaki flavor in the game as humanly possible. I do not want them to censor the game. That's not what Dead or Alive is. If I want a censored fighting game, I can go somewhere else. But this whole, we're not gonna welcome you with open arms, that's not an actual thing, at least not with online. Like, there's no way to stop me from streaming it, there's no way to stop Max from streaming it, there's no way to stop anyone from streaming it and building a community around it. There's no way to really stop them from going to a tournament unless they violate the rules of the tournament. There's no way to stop them from posting about it online, accepting the reality of that situation, because that is the reality of it. The best way to go about it is to show people why Dead or Alive is such an amazing fighting game and that it's more than its boobs and bum. And by the way, like I said, there's no problem with it being like that. Not everything has to be PG. There can be things that are plus 15, plus 18. That's okay as well. Mortal Kombat doesn't need to get rid of its gore. It's Mortal Kombat. Tekken doesn't need to get rid of, well, you know, Tekken's got rid of a lot of its stuff, which is the main problem, to your point. But DOA doesn't need to get rid of what made it DOA, but you guys also need to learn how to speak to people. I mean, they're using a clip that I posted They're using a clip of a video that I posted a few days ago to make the point about why a certain level of understanding needs to be had in the Tekken community right now, because there seems to be a split. And it's not because we didn't gatekeep hard enough. We can't stop that from happening. The developers are going to go where the money is. But if you teach people why the game is so great and why people have stuck with it for so long and why it doesn't need to be censored and why it should be made in Itagaki's image, then that's where the money's going to be, because everyone's going to go, oh, do you know what, these guys are actually right. Now, yeah, I'm not saying that you ain't been shot on for years. I'm not blind. I've been in the FGC for a long time. I've heard plenty of things about DOA, and I'm not even going to sit here and pretend like in my young years I might not have done that. I can't remember doing it. I say a lot of things, so I can't remember, but maybe I did. But as I got older, I grew to appreciate this series. I think it's a great series. I hope that there's a DOA 7 on the horizon. I hope it comes back one day. I hope you guys get the game that you want. But I also hope that you learn how to put the information across to people. This is not how you get people to come over to your side. This is exactly how you push people up in that direction. And to be honest with you, of all the fighting games right now, the last game that needs people walking away even more going, these guys over here are crazy, we don't want more of that shit, is Dead or Alive. Anyways guys, I just wanted to show you that. Let me know what you think about all of that, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Take care and peace.
Yeah.